The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience presented by DraftKings 2021 Travelers Championship DraftKings picks and preview. Play in the best tournament on DraftKings, the Pat Mayo Experience Open. Link in the description. It's almost full, so go get your spot right now. Become a member at fantasynational.com/Mayo for that 20% off. A monthly membership will get you all the way through the British Open, so now is a good time to get on that. And remember to smash the like button for the video, leave your favorite $6,000 player in the comment section, and subscribe to Mayo Media Network. Ben Rasa from Awesemo.com is on the line to break this all down. But I have a question before we start, Ben. When you're when you're a high stakes player like yourself, and you have a lot of money tied up in Russell Henley's success during the week, when you go into Sunday and see that he's tied for the lead, obviously you're happy that he's tied for the lead and he's not missed the cut. What is the expectation of what he's going to do?
Oh yeah, that is a very, very good question. So you hope that he finishes like withdraws the floor. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those situations. You've seen it. The guy said the right things. You know, I thought he came in with the right mindset, but you know, it's one of those. You just kind of have to experience it. We saw that with HV3 once. We see it with a lot of guys. It was not good, but that was the least of my problems. Mackenzie Hughes almost pseudo winning summed it up nicely last week.
Yeah, I suppose so. He missed 5 straight cuts coming in. He just had the magic putter again.
That's what he does. You talk about summing up nicely. When he hit it in the tree, you tweeted like he's just going to make it from there somehow. And that's really the mindset with that guy. It was I don't know. We haven't talked about this. How was US Open for me, it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. Phil making the cut really hurt me. I had a lot of things tied up into that, and I didn't think that he had any business making that cut, and he did. Credit to him. But how did it go for you?
I was up a bunch of money going into the back 9, and then all of a sudden I was down. I think I was in for $800, and I got back like $350.
Yeah, I mean, it can change. So, you know, with the lower scoring, the placement points, it changes quickly. I had the right pool. I was pretty happy with it. It was just not the perfect combo. I needed Homa to get through. That really would have helped. But all in all, I was happy for Usti. I did have more exposure to him in the betting side of things. Obviously, the outright would have been better. Not that I had it for a lot, but Rahm is just too good. He deserved it. Amazing putts on 17 and 18.
Yeah, I had no Rahm, so that really kind of ended up ruining my week. But I had my entire core was built of Brooks, Bryson, and Rory, and some combination of those two guys at the top. So for a while on Sunday, I was like, okay, here we go. I even had lineups with all 3 of them in it that were a 6 of 6. If Pendrith had made the cut and he missed on the number, my week would have been so much better, even with all of the collapses, because I was so high up in all these tournaments with 5 of 6s, and the guy who obviously was missing it was Pendrith.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, that's really all it can take, small edges like that. And then, you know, Bryson, when he loses it, it seems to sometimes go really bad. That was some disturbing images on the back 9 there.
Yeah, that wasn't great news for old Bryson. But I go back and I went and looked at the stats for the U.S. Open. Pendrith was 3rd in strokes gained off the tee. Like, that's why I played him. Usually he putts well, and he didn't putt well. So that was the end of him. He still almost made it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to live with that. Even, I mean, for me with Homa, particularly on Thursday, couldn't putt. He lost like 4 strokes putting, and it was Friday. He made his move. He had his chance. Couldn't get there. Somehow couldn't beat Phil, which was the full coffin for me. And then, you know, the Jazz blew it in the NBA. It's been a rough week, but we're going to dust ourselves off and we're going to get back to business at Travelers, which is one of my favorite tournaments.
Is it one of your favorite tournaments because it's like local to you?
I mean, I'm mostly at this point just biased of like how I've done. I've had some really good, you know, weeks here in DFS over the years, particularly 2018 when Lahiri was in the top 10 and Casey almost won. But Yeah, it's close to me. I like the tournament. I like River Highlands. Are you a fan of this course?
I am. I had spoken with Jeff a few weeks ago. I brought it up again yesterday on that show, but I just have most of my betting success, DraftKings success, doesn't really matter what it is, at these shorter courses where the entire field has a chance to win.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I mean, of course, Pete Dye comes up a lot when you're talking about those type of courses, but the leaderboard bears it out. I like it because I think people sometimes think that the bombers can't win, and that is highly inaccurate. It's just that it brings in every type of player. So you're going to get a great mix of the Bubbas of the world and then like, the Kevin Nas of the world. And that's just a really cool thing. You don't get that at every course.
No, when you go and look at the players who have had the most success here over the past 5 years, it's almost the three completely different styles of player. It's Casey, who's more just kind of all around but can't really putt. Then you have Bubba, who just kind of bombs it. Sometimes he makes putts. And then you have Brian Harmon, who most definitely does not bomb it, barely hits his irons well, but makes every putt. Like, those are the three guys that I think of when I think of this tournament.
And like I said, I like that. You can mix and match. A lot of times I stick to themes on my teams. This week a little less because you can incorporate a lot of different styles around this course, and you can be aggressive off the tee. You certainly need to be crisp with your irons, but as you talked about, you can also just make everything. And these greens, you can go low here. It's got a nice blend of everything. So I do like it. One of my favorite, just like pretty standard events of the year.
Well, let's go to the top of the DraftKings pricing. Above $10,000, you'd think that the now number 2 player in the world should be, and the defending champion would be the favorite. And he is the favorite per the DraftKings pricing. The betting market, he is actually second to Bryson DeChambeau, who's 11-1. Brooks, Cantlay, and Reed. Those are your 5 guys above $10,000. We're back to a full field of 156, top 65 and ties make the cut line. So do you think it's more of a stars and scrubs approach this week? Because, I mean, you can make a pretty compelling case for anyone up near the top, but I think I'd rather take my chances almost even starting in the 9s based on some of these names.
Yeah, I mean, of course, these are very, very, very good players, the world's best, but there is lack of depth. Not everyone is here, and I don't know. I'm not completely drawn to it. You could make a case. I mean, even Bryson, as bad as it was, he did what he wanted to do in the sense that his formula of off the tee and putting was there. He just couldn't do, the around the green game got lost late, but he was in the tournament. So I don't mind going there. I don't see myself doubling up north of 10 too much. I think that's probably a little too thin. And I think it just speaks to the 6K range isn't ideal this week.
No, but I think that there's certain guys that you can find. I actually made 2 models this week, and I'll throw this into the newsletter on Wednesday evening. So you can subscribe to that in the description of the video and podcast, completely free, by the way. So come on, become a subscriber to the email. It's an email. You can just delete it if you don't want to read it. But I made one of short wedges. So essentially it weighted, let's see, proximity 75 to 100, 30%, proximity to 100 to 125, 70%. Just guys that have the best proximity from that range are just going to generate so many easy birdie opportunities. I actually have another one that I was running through. I got to try to find it now. That one is short wedges. There's also another approach one that I threw in where it kind of expands it out to 150. And I'm just looking at both of those to see if there's any random names that end up popping up. And frankly, it's a lot of your mid-range guys that, like your Tringallis and Hoffmans and Streelmans of the world, tend to be the best guys from that range. And they're not the ones really hitting a ton of shots from 75 to 100, let's say. You're just going to see a lot of DJ and Brooks and Bryson in that range. But I think maybe Bryson will scale it back a bit off the tee, because after watching him at the US Open and the glaring amount of 80-yard shots that he had into greens, he's just not good at them.
No, that's the old, to me, Rory always had fit that where DJ had mastered it. His drives left him with a shot that he was so good at. Bryson was leaving himself these shots that obviously he wasn't super comfortable with, and that doesn't help you at all. So being closer only works if it works in conjunction with those wedges, and you're going to have that. I mean, we've seen the quotes, each and every year here from Bubba and other guys. It's a wedge fest. So short irons, all those things I'm looking for. And your boy Satoshi, he comes up on a couple of my lists this week looking at these type of things.
He jumped off the page to me as well. I mean, obviously he's won at a Pete Dye course in his career. He's riding a heater right now for Satoshi Kodaira. But I went and looked at his history at this course, and maybe that's just irrelevant. He's never played well here, but he hasn't played well almost anywhere. So what's that really matter?
Yeah, he's not good, so it makes it harder to play well at places. But if he was going to play well, this does seem like his type of course. And again, it just brings in some names that I normally don't look at a ton, and then it brings in some guys that I like to play that I know I'm going to get suckered into this week.
Give me one. Who's the one? Is it Aaron Wise?
It is certainly Aaron Wise. Talk about his proximity, particularly with the short irons. It caught my eye. Maybe this is coastal. Who knows? We're going to round and say it's by the coast. Ryan Moore, guys like that. I think you can look to them. There's elements. I see a little John Deere in this, but particularly Aaron Wise. It's all systems go this week.
Yeah, when I did the sorting, the 100 to 175, like I separated the 100 to 125 into 10% because you just don't get that many shots from there. The plurality this week, I actually think it's a majority of approach shots actually come from 125 to 175. So I weighted both of those at 45%, and Aaron Wise comes out as number 2 amongst all of those guys in the field this week over the past 24 rounds.
Yeah, his putter has been temporarily fixed and we've seen the results. I'm going to have a lot of him. There's no doubt about it this week.
Just looking at the plus 10K guys to circle back, I can't differentiate between them whatsoever. So I just don't think that I'm going to do it. Like, weirdly, I think that Cantlay would be my favorite. Like, is there any chance Brooks shows up and tries to win this tournament?
I would say minimal. But yeah, I don't know why I never know why guys are here. Like, he has to fly across the country. I don't know if it's like commitments and sponsors and things. I don't know. If I was a golfer, I think I would take more time off than a lot of these guys. Who has time to come to Hartford? No offense to Hartford.
I think it's just they don't want to play John Deere or Rocket Mortgage one of the next 2 weeks, and they want to get an event in before the British Open. And most of the guys in this field aren't the ones that show up to the Scottish Open or the Irish Open.
Yeah, that is true. You could prep over there. But no, I mean, listen, I like I said, I'm glad they're here. I love this tournament. It's kind of in my backyard a little bit. If I was going to go to this range, I think I would look to, Bryson's always the guy that I kind of think when he gets going, he can win. He can win going away. We all know that. If I was going to pick someone else, though, I'd be with you and Cantlay. He's just pretty stable. He's fixed whatever the problems were for that, month or two stretch, earlier this year. Everything looks pretty solid off the tee is good. His irons were a little weak last week, but he makes up for it in so many different areas.
Yeah, so Cantlay is the only star that I have next to anyone in the $10,000 range, and I'll just kind of have to bite the bullet on it. If one of these guys beats me, then it wasn't my week to win. But in the 9Ks, Casey is at the very top. It feels like you should just play Casey at the courses where he's good at, and this is one of them.
So he's becoming, and I mean, I guess I could say it because Bubba also fits this course too, but Casey's starting to develop that theme as well. You're right. Like, he's got his courses. This is one of them. Valspar is certainly another one. He does what he does, and he plays well consistently. He's playing great. His irons are fantastic. He's going to be extremely popular. But other than that, I think there's nothing not to like about him this week.
Well, I think that even if let's say I don't use Cantlay and I just fade the above $10,000 range, I think you could take 3 guys from this $9,000 area and get away from some of that ownership just by constructing a little bit differently. So Casey's at the very top of it, but slightly after him on the board, it's Scheffler, Streelman, Wolf, Finau, Answer, and Neiman. I like Answer and Neiman, but I actually am going to play Kevin Streelman. I don't want to bet Kevin Streelman for his ridiculous odds at 30-1, but I think on DraftKings it's a different story when we think about strategy. Just people are going to see Kevin Streelman. I know he's won here before. That was years ago. He's just playing so well, and everything he does well fits this course perfectly.
There's no doubt about that. I agree with kind of where you're leading there. People are going to see it, me included, and say 9,400. Like, I used to pay $7K for this guy. I'm not clicking that, and I'm kind of guilty of that as well. I think Scheffler's the most interesting. He's someone that appropriately priced, but he's not going to get a lot of buzz. He's sandwiched between Paul Casey, and he's playing fantastic. So I may look to him. I think my favorite guy in the range, Casey's the safest. Answer would be the guy I'm going to go right back to. he missed a cut, no big deal. This is a much better fit, reasonable price tag. One of my favorite plays of the week.
Yeah, I bet Answer to win. He made the cover photo of the show yesterday. It all really sets up well for him. He has a 9th and an 11th the past 2 years, and even at the U.S. Open, he was 4th in strokes gained approach, and he only played 2 rounds. And I would expect the rest of his game to rebound, hopefully, just a little bit. Neiman, where around the green is de-emphasized at this course over ball striking, is probably a good time to jump on him. I just like this collection of players. Like, if I can grab 3 or 4 of them in a lineup, if I find some guys at the bottom that I don't mind, I think that's the route that I want to go. Because even some of the guys in the mid to upper 8s I like too. Scheffler is interesting, but I do think that he is going to be highly owned. Weirdly, and I might be wrong on this from what I'm seeing early on, but it was my instinct right away is that no one's going to play Finau.
Yeah, I would rather do you have any interest in starting with Finau?
I don't think that you need to start with Finau, but when we get to the play the best plays lineup, I can see it. Like, you could go Finau, Answer, Charlie, Bubba, or Neiman, or Smith, like one of those guys, or Harmon, whoever it is that you like from that tier. You can construct a pretty compelling lineup that way.
Yeah, you're still north of 7 for the last 2. I don't mind that. The one guy we haven't mentioned, and I'd be lying if I said it had any feel, is Wolf.
I just not this course for me. And maybe that next week. Well, let's get him to the Rocket Mortgage, where you can drive it with impunity as far as you want. The rough, it's classified as long, but doesn't seem to be too detrimental to anyone who can drive it a ton, because Bryson and Wolf basically finish like 1-2 every single year at that course. So I don't know where to put him right now. No one's going to use him. That's what I do know.
Elite scorer, we know that. Dangerous. I think if you make enough teams, I think he should be in the pool for large field tournaments. I just don't know how I'm going to be able to click him in over Finau, Answer, and Neiman. This is a priority range for me. I want exposure to those 3 guys. Casey and Scheffler, I think, are very, very safe. So I'm going to have minimal shares up for grabs, and that's probably why he gets squeezed.
Yeah, and that's based on my inability to distinguish really between the 10Ks and the 9Ks. At least in the 9Ks, I have like, oh, there's 4 guys I really like. I can go with them. And if that means fading the $10,000 players, then I can actually mix and match between all of them. Let's say I'll probably make 20 lineups as my 20 main lineups, and I'll probably do the mini max again, because I've been having fun making 150 lineups, Ben. Just it's not much money to go enter, and I'm trying to work through a strategy of 150 lineups. You never play 150, do you?
Very, very rarely. I build by hand, so it takes a while. If there was no soccer going on, maybe. But and the one thing I will say, people don't realize with the mini max in those tournaments, a lot of people, myself, like you, I can't play in those. A lot of people who play a lot of heavy volume can't. So it's a great way to test out new theories, get exposure to 150. And as you mentioned, it's not a huge money commitment. So definitely on board with that strategy.
Yeah, I had never really played it before, just because I don't play 150 entries, and I wasn't like super keen on throwing like 10 into a 50-cent tournament. But I just want to go through the process of building the 150 to see if that's a viable strategy for me. And put it this way, if you put in 150 lineups, you're probably not going to get completely wiped out. But it's hard to churn too much of a profit in it solely because you're putting in 50-cent entries. You basically need to finish inside the top 3 of all of those to really earn a lot of money coming out of it. But I like 1 week, I did pretty well. Last week, it was actually pretty fine because I had so many 6 of 6s go through, and there was no, there was just having a 6 of 6. Although that didn't really mean the end of the world because scoring was at such a premium. Like someone like Eddie Molinari for me scored so well last week, despite the fact that he didn't finish well.
Yeah, I mean, when streaks and bonuses are basically non-existent and there's no under 70, it doesn't, I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but it's not like a normal week where you're losing so many raw points to being down a man. You can survive majors, particularly the US Open, like that.
So looking at the ownership right now, very early, obviously, we're speaking on a Tuesday morning, of the very top end, it seems like Cantlay, Casey, Scheffler, Answer, and Neiman are probably the ones that people are going to gravitate towards. Bryson, very popular amongst Fantasy National members. Very few people using Dustin, though. Is Dustin maybe the leverage guy up here?
I mean, he might be the leverage guy. I don't know how often. It's such a different build with him. And I mean, what's there to say? Obviously, he can just do anything and come out firing and just run away with this. I just don't know exactly what I do. Maybe like DJ Finau lineups. That's kind of interesting. You still have plenty of room. But I don't know if I really want to build with that. I think I'd rather try to get three nines than like DJ and then random 9K guy.
Yeah, I think that's probably the path that I'm going to take as well. So for me, Answer's probably the favorite, then Casey. I'm going to play Streelman. I'm going to stick to my guns on that one. And then I might work in Neiman. I want to use Neiman. I just think that he's fourth on that list of me, despite being the cheapest. Then we go to the 10Ks. Bubba's at the very top at 89. I bet Bubba to win at 5,500. Should I continue to use him on DraftKings too? Like, I don't know how I feel about that because I'm going to fade Harman because I always fade Harman. But then you got Cam Smith and Charlie Hoffman at 87 and 86. And I really like those two guys this week.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Hoffman, he makes a lot of sense. Again, I don't know exactly in terms of popularity where he'll be, but before a little hiccup, he was just striking it so well, particularly with his irons. I don't worry about that. I hate Cam Smith in life, even though I no problem with him, but I rarely, if ever, play him. I'm a little tempted to go just because the form has really fallen off. I just don't know what's wrong with him. Like his around the green game left at the US Open, that's a complete outlier. Where do you think he is at? He's kind of been all over the map.
One of the things that I noticed, and I don't know if it's because of field strength or what it might be, is that the guys that play really well at Riviera play really well at this course for whatever reason that might be. Cam Smith, obviously a very good Riviera player over the years. I just like to see his irons got back on track last week at the US Open. He gained on the field driving and lost it all around the greens. Like, that's such an atypical Cameron Smith performance that it seems like he's putting pieces of his game. It's kind of like the guys that we always talk about. Like, I don't see a ton of difference right now when you just look at them statistically next to each other between like Sungjae and Cam Smith, that they're doing 3 of 4 things well or 2 of 4 things well, and they're random 2 to 3 things every single week. It kind of flips that once they get it on the same page that they're going to be fine. And I don't think anyone's going to use Cam Smith.
No, I don't think people are going to use Cam Smith. I think in general, the upper eights will be somewhat dead. Bubba and Harman will probably garner a little, but I don't see a ton of interest here because people are going to want to use the 9K range. Siwoo, Justin Rose shot like 40 over last week. That's not going to help his cause. Henley and English, they played well, but I still don't think they're going to be overwhelming chalk. This is an interesting range. It's a tough one. I definitely prefer the 9s, but there are names here to break down for sure.
Yeah, what do you do in the lower part of this? Because I had no one starred as of yet, and it's kind of like Harris English makes a lot of sense. And if he's not going to be overwhelming chalk, it seems like a really good price for him.
I have no problem with him. It's going to be ownership dependent. He almost accidentally won the US Open, so that'll help. And his short game is ridiculous. So off the tee game is weak, but it's fine. It's nothing super alarming. What about Adam Scott? If you want to go Genesis.
That's a discussion that I was looking at for the outright betting market because he was down at like 75 to 1, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But then I was like, well, he hasn't been playing well. That probably factors a lot into it. But if we're talking at a course that's like all like short irons, and that's still the one thing that he does really well.
Yeah, I'm definitely planning on getting over on him. I don't think it'll take a lot. He's not doing anything that's blowing you away, but it's not abysmal either. Just kind of hanging around, and I'm waiting for his irons to really pop again. I know it's in there. The short game is fine. The putter is good. This is a good price for him. Scott is interesting this week. I may tail you on the betting side of that. I didn't even consider that. That is a good number.
Yeah, well, there's 2 of them that are down there, and even we breach into the upper 7s. If I'm going to say Riviera, and just based on, because I was following him a lot, like you, I had a ton of Max Homa last week. Like, why not Max Homa here?
Oh, I'm definitely going to stick with Max Homa. He's once again priced next to maybe I'll get a matchup with Phil again. Hopefully they pair them and I can just triple down on this disaster theory. But his tee to green was, it wasn't great, but it was good enough to be in the hunt. He just couldn't get it going, couldn't make the putts. And then it unraveled late on Friday. So I will go right back to him. Keegan is there, which is always an issue, particularly in the Northeast. But there are guys that, as we work down to this true mid-range.
Well, just to stick with Homa for a second, like if you've just been blindly playing Homa all season long, you're doing really well because every time that he spikes, I guess at Genesis he was pretty popular coming off the top 10 at Pebble Beach, but almost every other time it's like miscut, sixth, miscut, sixth. He just missed the cut at the US Open. Essentially, if it's not like a super strong field event or a major, he comes inside the top 10, and now we're getting him at no ownership.
And he's got the putting spikes. That's really what I like to see when he's losing on the greens. He's lost in 4 of 6 weeks putting, but the ones he gained 5.7 and 6.5. Like, I'll take that every time. I don't mind if my guy loses, 2/3 of the time, if the 1/3 is a massive, massive output. So I will go back to Homa. I hope people, are deterred by the missed cuts because it is too many for a guy that good, but you can go to him. It's a tough range because you have other good ball strikers, Keegan, Sam Burns, your boy Higo. There are names.
There are. I mean, are we just going to dismiss Henley at $8,300?
I don't know.
Because isn't this basically what Shez did 2 years ago?
When he where was that, Shinnecock?
No, it was at Pebble, and then he won this event the week after.
Pebble. Yeah, I mean, I played Henley last week. He finally exploded with the irons, which is what you need for him. Everything checked out with the putter. Everything was great. His off the tee game was bad, but it always is. I don't mind hanging on there. I don't know what his ownership will be, if he'll take a big jump. He seems to like Travelers in the limited sample size. There's nothing that deters me. It's I think, kind of an awkward build with him. Is he your third man in? Is he your fourth man in with balanced? I don't think he's going to be your second man in. I just have to see how that kind of works out roster construction wise.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to get there either. I would prefer English, and I prefer Adam Scott. So that kind of leaves him on the outside looking in. I prefer Homa from that upper sevens. But the rest of the upper sevens, when I take a look at it, beyond Homa, doesn't really do a ton for me, strangely enough, despite there's a lot of my guys in there. Like Molinari, Phil, Higo, like you mentioned, Keegan, all guys that I would I looked when I just first glanced at it, I was like, oh, I'd love to play these guys. And the more I think about it, maybe Burns, maybe Tringali, but I don't know what to do with Higo for the life of me.
No, I mean, that's not my account. I have no idea. He wasn't great last week, I wasn't surprised, but at the same time, this guy's been very, very impressive. Keegan's the one I probably struggle with the most. Tee to green outside Memorial, it's just been absolutely fantastic for a while now. Travelers is an event that he plays every single year. It's got a mixed bag, but certainly plenty of experience. Seems to like the course. You need the putter to cooperate. I think that's where I'd be drawn over guys like Burns. I think is fine. I'm not sure I'm going to get to Doc Redman, Jason Day. I mean, I have no idea what to do with. Probably nothing.
Maybe I will go to Keegan. Maybe people will jump off the bandwagon because we didn't see him last week. And I think he's made the cut 8 out of 9 years. He missed it last year in the Superstar field, but what are you going to do? And he was so used at Memorial and he went tits up that maybe it will kill some of his ownership, especially with some of the other names here. Like Higo won me a bunch of money 2 weeks ago. And I think that he can play well here too, but I'd probably still take Keegan at, this is essentially his home event, isn't it?
Yeah, it's as close to what we're gonna get. I mean, what's there to say there? I think the price is reasonable, and coming off recency bias, that'll help him. I like Homa more than all these guys, no doubt about it. And then it starts to, HV3 is there, Day, Poulter, RCB. You got a mixed bag of all different types of players.
Well, what do you do with Tringali? Because he had solved the driving problems, and much was made about that when he was in contention. They're like, oh, he had an extra 20 miles per hour to his club head speed, and it seemed to be figured out. Now he's dropped off the tee pretty significantly in 4 consecutive events. That it seems like his driver is not figured out whatsoever, and he's been saving himself by gaining a bunch of strokes putting. The irons are still fine, but it's chipping, it's putting. That's just on paper, that's what you want to see coming into an event. If the rest of the game can catch up, I just don't know if the rest of the game's going to catch up.
I'm a little worried about it as well. The driver, not only has it been bad, but it almost seems like it's getting worse. He's putting tremendous strain on his putter, and that's what did it at Memorial. He easily could be coming in here off, he's coming in, he's missed 2 cuts, and then he made 2 cuts. He easily could be 3 of 4 in terms of missed cuts here. Memorial was not good at all. He's lucky that he was putting so well.
The one in this range, and it's one of my favorite players on tour, so there's no way that I'm getting away from him at essentially 0 ownership, but get me at a course with small greens that's 6,800 yards. That's a Kevin Na course to me.
I knew you would go there. I mean, Kevin Na, again, is the guy, you probably don't get him right that often, but when you do, he can just win randomly. So I see it. The stats don't look good. They never look that good. This is a good course fit, though, and when he has it going, it pops. So great tournament play. Wouldn't come anywhere near my cash lines.
Oh, good God, no. But you don't play cash games anyway, so what's the difference?
No, it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. And he just, he's one of those guys. When you get him right, you really get paid off. You just have to take him being non-competitive at times. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, you take your medicine with him, but the theory behind it being that his upside is so high that when he does come through in some of these big spots, like you get paid off immediately on him.
Kevin Na, he's like 14 for a top 5.
That's not terrible, actually.
No, I might look to do it like that a little with him. I'm not sure I want to go all the way to the outright because I'd rather play Scott for almost a similar number, but like 14-1 for a top 5, that could make my card this week.
Should I make your picks for you down here? Aaron Wise and Griot. And Ricky.
Yeah, keep going. There you go.
Those are the 3, right?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. You just pick the best players. Maybe Chris Kirk, because Chris Kirk is awesome too, but what's there to say? Elite ball strike. I mean, Ricky's Ricky. I'm just going to play him because he's starting to find it. But Aaron Wise and Griot are just fire him up this week. You got to like them. It's not just me, is it?
I like Griot a lot. Wise, I'm playing Kevin Na, so I'm not one to talk about this. But when Wise is last, I'm not going to be super surprised.
But when he's first, are you going to be super surprised?
Yes.
Okay. So that's really where we differ.
Remember when he gave us that nice run at Mayakoba? I was on board with you, bet it at 150-1, gagged it late to Vic.
Yeah, that wasn't good. That's coastal. I don't know if this qualifies, but he really is playing well. Irons, putting, even off the tee. It's just the form is coming back. He's making cuts at better fields than this. Aaron Wise is he's in good shape here.
Just looking at where people are gravitating towards really early on in the week, Fowler and Griot, 2 of the higher up guys in that mix. Not so much Wise, which was kind of surprising to me. Chris Kirk, who you mentioned. Of the upper 7s, and that includes Homa and Burns and Tringali and Phil and Higo and Keegan, people are just playing Doc Redman.
I'm going to be honest, I don't really see that. I don't get that. I don't think it's a horrendous play, but to me, you have better options in that range. I saw, he popped that Palmetto and he does that, but that to me is borderline outlier with the way he's been playing. And the off the tee game has been weak for a while now. I'm not sure why that is. I don't have a lot of interest. I hope people play him because I'm not going to be one of them.
It's the 2 top 10s in the past 4 starts, both in 2 of the weakest fields of the year at the Byron Nelson and Palmetto. He might just be one of those guys that once he doesn't get invited to, like when he's not in WGCs and decides to take his medicine to go play the Barracuda, like that's where Doc Redman's going to go get his win.
Is that the one with the stupid scoring?
No. Well, maybe. No. The Barracuda is the one with the Stableford scoring. It's the Barbasol is the one that's in Wiley's backyard.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Barbasol. I forgot about that one. Isn't there one in Tahoe?
Yeah, that's the Barracuda.
Oh, that is okay. Yeah. It's all coming together. Yeah, Doc Redman should go play the Barracuda this week. I don't think the Barracuda is this week, but they should maybe change that. I just, again, it's a product of the opportunity cost between him. You could go to Homa, Burns, Tringale, HV3. I like Wise. You like Nah. Keegan is not that far away. It's hard to make a case for him when you have so many other options.
Per the numbers, Wise is 24th, HV3 is 26th, and Griot, your boy, 16th. I was thinking about betting Griot this week. I don't think I'm going to do it because, it's probably wise not to do it. It seems like he's so close.
He has really found some, I mean, not just me. Everyone has said for years, could you imagine if this guy could just be slightly good with the putter? He's making them, and he's making them pretty consistently lately. And he is almost, what's he, like 100?
He's like 70 to 1. He's the same odds as Adam Scott.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet him. Maybe I'll just do a Wise Griot exacta style and just the screenshot to end all screenshots. But he's found it. He's playing really, really good golf. His around the green game is awful, but it's always been like that. If he can continue to just go irons and putting, I can live with the shaky off the tee game right now.
What's the Todd father been up to? This is sort of like the peak. This was his peak, and then it kind of all went downhill from here, going back to look at it. Even coming post-COVID out of it. Let's see. And he was on a nice little run, the Todd father. He came 11th at this tournament last year. He had a nice little run through the end of everything, but he was in the final group with DJ, got the Anderker slapped on him, and that was the end of his career.
Yeah, that sums it up nicely. Mistakes were made, particularly around the green.
Which is weird because he's one of the best around the green.
He is, but curses are curses. So I don't really have interest. Again, it's just a product of there's too many other guys. Todd needs to putt really well. The putter was quiet at the U.S. Open. He didn't do much of anything there. If I was going to take a guy like that, I'd just play Lanto.
Well, it's funny that you brought him up because all of a sudden the irons came back at the U.S. Open. And I don't think anyone noticed.
No, because it was masked that he lost around the green and with the putter. He hasn't done that in the same week since November of 2020. It's been a nice stretch for him where usually the around the green and the putter cooperate. So he struck it really well, but the result, it's in line with how he's been playing, even though that doesn't tell the full story.
The other one that I was thinking about, because he just keeps lurking, whether it's big events, whether it's small events, he pops up on the leaderboard and then he immediately goes away for whatever reason. But it's Poulter is down here. He's someone who just, in my mind, plays beat die courses really well. I have not run the numbers on that. But if we're thinking about someone that, if this tournament just essentially boils down to who hits good approaches from 130 yards, then makes a ton of putts, you could do worse than Poulter. That's why I find it so weird that Doc Redman, who's more expensive, is getting all the buzz here.
Yeah, see, again, I'm kind of indifferent on Poulter, but I still don't really get that Redman thing, and 7,400 seems reasonable. I do want to throw out, I have one, because like I said, I've got my priorities in this range. It's Griot, it's Wise, it's Ricky to an extent. I have one possibly mega mind genius play.
Snedeker.
And it's, no, I didn't even know he was in the tournament. That makes it harder. CT Pan.
Okay, the Panimal. Let's hear it.
No, that's all I got. You're supposed to be like, I looked at him and then take it away.
No.
Four straight made cuts. Tee to green was really good at Palmetto. I don't know, just kind of playing fine. He pops at times. Shorter courses is where I like to target him.
I mean, his win came in a die course.
Yeah, keep going. There we go.
The off the
top
tee
10 at Travelers.
Yeah, the driving has been actually pretty good.
Much better than you would think. He hasn't putted.
Yeah, it's the putting hasn't been horrendous, which is kind of saving his ass. He's not losing 6 strokes a week anymore.
Yeah. Again, I don't think, I wish he was, of course, cheaper because I think he can find the weekend. And I don't know if it's really necessary to go there. I'm also not sure how many people are going to play Guido.
Okay, so do you think that the Guido thing is between like 20 of us and it makes it seem like everyone in the world loves Guido? Because I'm pretty sure most people don't know who he is. Even after last week. I
would say it's got to be an element of like But people don't know who he is, but there's something to clicking on the box score and seeing 22T4. Like, he still can't be popular though, right?
I don't think so. I think if he got past 5%, because I think the books made this pretty clear. They opened him at 110 to 1, which I immediately bet. But they're not moving off that number. They're not taking a bunch of Guido money.
No. And I think that's not that surprising. So I don't have a ton to say about him. EVR once again sucked me back in like an idiot last week.
Why did that happen to you?
What do you mean? Because I'm not smart. What do you want me to say?
We talked about Rafa of all people last week, being like, oh, he's just a disaster at Palmetto when everyone was on him. He'll make the cut at the U.S. Open, and he did. Although we were doing the Cut Sweat show on Friday, and Rafa was a big part of the coverage because he was near the lead. And Cuss actually had a pretty accurate statement on him. It's like he's trying to make double bogeys but can't. He just keeps chipping in for par.
Yeah, that sums that up. Nice. EVR, I don't understand why he's not useful. He was useful at one point. No, I don't know what else to say down here. The low sevens, there's a lot of names and they're all fine, but to me, find the extra money for 72 to 7,500.
Are we over Stuart Sink? Because it seems like the world is, and I mean, the guy's won twice already, and they don't elevate his price. I mean, he's not Doc Redman.
It's not Doc Redman. That's probably the best point that I could make for him. He won Heritage, just like CT Pan. I'm not really there, though. It's started to crash back to earth. Carlos Ortiz is here as well. I looked at him.
I don't love Ortiz at courses where, and he didn't do this very well at the U.S. Open. I just like him at harder courses.
That's fair. I have no problem with that. I like I said, I'm not super into much of anything here. You've got like the Munozes of the world, Kisner, Hadley, Hughes. I'm not looking to get any of these guys in my lineups per se.
Was Munoz? I was following. Did he even make the cut? No, he didn't. He missed the cut. I feel like he was before the delay on Thursday when they had to wrap around. I feel like he was winning the U.S. Open, and then I woke up and he was nowhere to be seen anymore. Yeah,
there's a couple guys that do this. I can't remember who usually does, but Munoz was like, honestly, EVR does this sometimes. He was like 4 under, and then I literally blinked, and in the same round, he was like 3 over, and then never heard his name again. But he did have a brief glimpse of the leaderboard. God, flat 7 has some names. There's about 8 guys there, and that is more where my interest is going as we work, all the way down.
It's all, this is the me and you wheelhouse of names.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
This entire list is Shez, List, Perez, Knox, Gooch, Gim, Stanley, Damon. Although I think Damon withdrew, now that I think about it. I believe that he did.
Okay.
Maybe that was JT Poston, because I get them confused.
Damon, he's withdrawn.
What's that, Paul? Damon withdrew. Okay, that's good news. And then
tough scene.
Well, Kazire's not playing in Texas, so that makes it tougher for him, I think. Mac Hughes is $7,100 too.
No. I'm not chasing that. I don't even know what there is to chase. It was just wizardry.
So if we try to break down the flat 7s, obviously Shez won here 2 years ago. I feel like he's sneaky been good with the irons lately too. He has been. The last 2 events, Palmetto, 4.4, U.S. Open, despite coming in 40th, he gained 6 strokes with his irons and lost off the tee for the first time in a while, but at a 7,700-yard course, that's not super shocking. Minus 4.7 on the greens. How has he putted here? The year that he won, he's gained over, he just has a really good track record at this course. He's missed 1 cut since 2010, and he plays it every year.
I played Ches last week, and it was not great, but it was fine. And he's the kind of guy, when he gets rolling a little bit and the form comes, it tends to stick, and vice versa. When it's bad for a while. I'm going to go to him. But what about another former champion who has gained just forever with the irons?
Russ.
170 to 1 is out there.
I hit him as a winner at this event in the past. It's been a while for old Russell Knox, though.
Just a minute, but yeah, he's a guy. starting to play all right.
Here's the thing. I just worry, and maybe it doesn't mean that much for DraftKings because he's made 5 of 6 cuts, and that's probably good enough. But he has no, like, despite 6.6 strokes gained on approach, 3.2, 2.2, 5.2, like, he doesn't have a top 10 since Pebble Beach earlier this year. Like, he has no good finishes, despite making the cut all the time.
Yeah, I mean, part of that is because he rarely, if ever, spikes with his putter, and even he doesn't have a lot of spike anything. He's pretty average in all areas. His irons are strong, but they're not like electric. I don't know though. I still feel like this is a pretty good course for him, and we're getting to the range, especially if you're aggressive. Like you can pencil. Like I'd take a T30 from Russell Knox every day of the week.
Well, you're not going to talk me off the Gim Reaper. I'm back in. I never left, but I'm back in again. I saw a video of him working on his putting. I'm sold.
That was it. That's all it took.
Took it. Hey, that's all I needed with Morikawa. Everyone was so. I remember before concession, the buzz with Morikawa was like, "Oh my God, he's changing his putter." It's like, well, he's like the shittiest putter on tour. Any change has to be good. It can't get worse. Like that. That's how I feel about Gim. Any change can only be better because it literally cannot get worse at this point.
What about? I have no, like I said, I have no problem with Doug Gim. It truly can't get much worse. Pat Perez is starting to play some good golf, though.
Is he playing better golf than Kyle Stanley, who's the same price, though? Now that he's not $6,100, he's not going to be uber chalk. And when I think of this course in my mind and the type of player, like the type of player that can't excel at certain courses but can at other ones, Kyle Stanley's that guy to me.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Stanley, he's played here a bunch. He seems to always gain tee to green, and he loses putting literally every time here. Which isn't that different than anywhere else, to be honest. But ball striking has been great. I think flat 7, I'm glad Dahmen withdrew because I don't know if I would have room. There's a lot of names here.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting territory, and that's why I don't love the low 8s or the upper 7s so much, because if we go back and think about those builds with like 3 9s and an 8, you could just use 2 of these guys.
That's probably what I'm going to do on a lot of builds. It's just flat at 7K, mix and match, see what happens. There's no reason for me to dip much. I mean, there's a couple names, but I like all these guys, and I think that they're definitely primed to at least grab some placement points.
I know that we didn't even mention his name because we just started talking about Guido because it's Guido. That's who you talk about. But Steele is like the same price. Steele missed his first cut of the year last week.
Yeah, he's been, I mean, perpetually like in the 6s and just reasonable price tags. He's been doing a lot with the putter. But I don't mind it. I just think, again, it's more about, do I have room for Steele? If I don't get to him, I'll be okay. I don't hate the play, but probably use my flyers on CT Pan.
Okay, so let's rank the guys at the even $7,000. I'm going to go Shez, Stanley, Gim would be my top 3.
Chez, Knox, Perez.
Okay. Interesting stuff.
No Luke List for either of us. So
no, so it's finally Luke List time. And no Gooch. Feinberg loves the Gooch.
And no Dahmen, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, Damon will probably still outscore some of the losers I play in the 6s despite not being in the tournament anymore.
It's very possible.
Let's see. 6K guys. I didn't even really look a ton down here. I guess we have to start with your best friend, Troy Merritt. Seems like a Troy Merritt event.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if Troy Merritt has, but he is somehow making the cut. He came in 65th at the U.S. Open, even though only 60 guys in the ties made the cut. So he might have been actually dead last on the weekend. I don't know if I'm going to go back. I kind of want to cash in my Troy Merritt. I had him at those 2 top set, where he came in 7th twice. I think I may be pushing my luck a little bit if I hang on here.
So there are 2 guys from down here that stuck out to me right away. Both are $6,700. One of them is your guy, and that's Chase Seifert, who, if you can just figure out how to putt again, because it used to be like, all right, putting. I feel like some of his best performances have come at die courses, and the irons just are perpetually good. That if you can catch a good putting week, like that's enough at this course. Just don't be like an abject failure around the greens and off the tee. Just be like slightly worse than average. Be good with your irons, make a ton of putts. You're live. Lebiota is the other one, who he kind of faded on the weekend at Palmetto, but he was still fine.
I've been playing Lebio now. He's been like the stone min at times, but yeah, I mean, I may look to him. Chase Seifert, this was, I don't know if it was a coming out party per se, but I guess it was a little holiday party in 20, like this was his first real finish on tour at the Travelers. He came out of complete nowhere.
He was a I think he was a qualifier that week. That was the year that Bubba won.
Yeah, that was the year. He was tied with Lahiri. It was a good time. Fratelli's down there. Benny-Ana's down there. I don't know if I can go to these guys.
You know how we never think about putting whatsoever when it comes down to this? Just we don't really ever factor that in. I think when we get down into the sixes at a tournament like this, it can be somewhat helpful.
Am I supposed to be looking for Denny McCarthy's name?
Now, he is in the tournament. No, I was just thinking that I was more or less thinking Putnam. But when I think about like short irons, maybe a hot putter, Ryan Armour's the guy that kind of stands out to me.
60s, okay, 67.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the putter's good. Everything else, but well, it's not Ryan Moore. Ryan Moore's putter doesn't stick out in a good way at all. It's very, very bad.
Yeah, but his irons don't even stick out in a good way anymore.
Well, that's going to make it more difficult because at one point, short wedges for a guy that hits it short. What about, I mean, now we're getting pretty thin, but I will say Norlander at Palmetto did look pretty good.
Yeah, but he only gets to look good once every 3 months.
So we have to wait till swing season?
Wyndham for Norlander.
What about Wyndham Clark? See what I did there?
He hurt my feelings so badly last week. It was actually, if he had made the cut, I mean, I would have been good with Pendrith missing the cut if Clark had made the cut. Instead, they both missed on the number.
Yeah, his irons are so bad, but I love the off the tee putting combo is a combo that I do attach myself to at times. I just don't know. Again, I also don't know how necessary it is to find maybe one or two guys down here, but I want to land in the sevens if I can.
I think these guys are more for my like 150 max territory.
Yeah.
That if I want to start getting, but there's not a substantial difference between some of these guys and some of the lower sevens. Like in our minds, like Kyle Stanley's a much better player than these guys, but I was just looking at Vince Whaley again. Like he missed one cut. Now he's $6,400 and no one's playing him after ever. This is what's going to happen to Doc Redmond. Doc Redmond's going to be chalk at $7,600. He's going to suck. And then he's going to be 6,300 and then no one will want to play him again. Isn't this what we're doing with Whaley right now? Like 2 bad rounds and all of a sudden the guy's cooked.
Yeah. It's amazing when guys, mass with chalk like that, once one bad thing happens and he completely lost it with the irons, everything resets. So I don't mind holding on there. Who else we got here?
What about my boy, Luke Donald? The irons continue to fire.
Yes, this is your range. You got Luke Donald and Bo Van Pelt.
Oh, I forgot about BVP. I didn't even see him down there. I might be off BVP here, but like we kind of joked about Kadira, but he's only $6,500. Yeah,
I would tend to go to him. I don't know who Davis Thompson is, but he seemed like he played pretty well.
So Davis Thompson and John Pack are both making their second starts as pros now. Davis Thompson was the SEC Player of the Year. Pack was like the best player in college, and he has had a really terrible first round at Palmetto. The other guy is that Aaron Eckrat. He's 6,600. This is going to be his first start as a pro. He was 12th at Mayakoba earlier this year. So they're like real guys who are down here.
Austin Eckrat. Yeah, that's the Harvey Dent. But yeah, not playing that guy.
How about this? 2 top 20s in his past 3 starts. And that's probably just a conspiracy that he didn't win. And it's Scott Piercy.
Mr. QAnon. Let's take a look. We got, wow, he finally, I mean,
he's found it.
The thing with him, he found, and then he had a spike putting week at Palmetto. God, there was a time when his irons were just like it was just target practice for him. He's gotten away with that. It's starting to trend back. His irons have been good in this little range. What is he? Does he play here a lot? Let me look.
Yeah, he's played here once, and he lost.
That's surprising.
And he lost 10 strokes putting, I think.
That's not surprising, but you would think he would come here. This isn't a terrible fit for him.
I think there are guys in the sixes, and just based on, I told you I ran those like short iron stats. If this does become a wedge fest, that's essentially the only thing Tom Lewis does well.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Lewis, he's another one. He's not similar to Kevin Na in how he plays, but he's similar to Kevin Na in the sense that if you play him all year, you're going to take a lot of punishment, but you're going to have 3 or 4 chances where you have Tom Lewis at like 0.1% and he's in contention.
Yeah. Other than that, I can't really find anyone of interest. David Hearn, because it's a Pete Dye course, maybe he makes the cut. Chase Koepka feels like he's made the cut the past few times that he's been out. I've assumed out loud, yeah, he's made 3 cuts in a row. He made the 3M last year, Honda and Valspar, in something called the Advent Health on the Corn Ferry Tour. He made the cut there. No decent finishes, but he's getting through to the weekend. I don't know. You're probably right that you don't need to go down this low, but, oh man, Michael Kim, dead min.
I think Davis Thompson is as low. Him and Shank are 63. If I was in a massive jam where I start Bryson DJ for some reason, maybe, but I think I would rather just find the money, even to get up to like 67. To me, that's a pretty, like, Lebiota and Armour and those guys are in a significantly better position than these guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think when I cap my main lineups, it's going to be with that Seifert, Lebiota, and Ryan Armour range. Although I don't think that Piercy's a terrible play, and I don't think that Kadira's a terrible play either. I know that he's putting the lights out, but it's not like his ball striking has been bad either.
One other guy, I wanted to bring him up and I completely forgot at 69. And again, do you need to do this? No, but he's probably going to be 1% owned. Do you have any interest in Lipsky?
I played Lipsky at Palmetto,
and he was good.
Yeah, that was about the extent that I had on Lipsky.
Okay. I may look to him certainly not in the outright market, but like top 10, even like a top 20 on a guy like that. Like he's 16-1 for a top 10.
Is Lipsky any good though? Is the problem?
I mean, that's a factor that I don't really weigh when I pick my golfers, and I'd classify that as a leak. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to gauge these guys who lesser competition, but he's had several big time finishes on the Corn Ferry, and then he parlayed that with a top 10 at Palmetto.
Did you see the contest that they're offering on DraftKings this week? It's a change from what I'm used to.
What, a crypto punk?
No, like there's no $5. It's an $8. The main like big tournament's a $20. It's just that they kind of up the prices on everything. I mean, I prefer it because it shrinks the fields. Just even a marginal amount does me wonders. Like I don't want to play against. I don't want to play the $10 against 175,000. I'll play the $20 against 58, but I probably won't take too many shots at that, to tell you the truth. I've been trying to work myself out of, and I got sucked into it last week. Like, oh, there's a Millionaire Maker, especially because it was only $10. Like, I just started randomly making lineups at weird times.
Yeah, that happens. And I mean, you got to be cognizant. I've been in a terrible, I've been playing a ton of like large field stuff, not nearly as much small field. Been doing a lot more golf betting this year, but you need to be aware of those. And I'm with you. You conceptually don't really grasp the difference when it's like, oh, 58,000 or 150,000, but like so many more people, logically when you really think about it.
Yeah, we're just shooting. You just see with the big prizes at the top. It's funny because the $20 will keep me away from just random arbitrarily filling out lineups where the $10 doesn't, which is just really stupid logic. But I'll see the $20 and I'll be like, I mean, $20 just to piss away. It seems like a lot. $10, who cares? Like somehow that's how my mind works.
No, I mean, I know how you're feeling. Yeah, it's good. It's a good safeguard against things like Scott Piercy. So I'm for this change.
The best plays lineup. It sounds like we're on the same page. It just the 4 of 6. Did the 4 of 6 cash? We gotta go check to see if the 4 or 6 cash. No, because it was in the cash and then Bryson melted down and then it was done last week. It just finished. It finished like, it was a top 29th percentile lineup, but I needed to get to top 22% for the best plays in order to finish itself up. I think that was the case. Yeah, I was looking at a showdown lineup. That wasn't very good. But I think balance build is the way to go. Do you think balance build starting with Casey is the play, or balance build starting with Answer is the play?
To me, it would be Casey.
Okay, so
right now I had 3 names clicked in. I had Casey, Answer, and Griot.
That leaves us with 7,900 for the rest of them. We both seem to like Shez.
Where's Ches?
7,000.
Yeah, Ches. Okay, that opens it up.
Now we're at 8,300. So we can go Hoffman.
Yeah, that's where I was. Hoffman, Scott.
I don't know if Scott makes this lineup because then we have.
I don't think he does.
The problem with Hoffman is he's too cheap for this lineup, weirdly enough. Because there's no one, like, I like Scott, I like Homa, but I don't think I'd put them into a best plays type lineup. Like, I'd probably rather save the $1,000 and get up to Neiman, Finau, like that range.
Finau. That's a mega dead range.
Yeah, this just leaves us trapped in a dead range of like good GPP, of GPP guys that we like, but not like a safe guy by any means. If we had $100 more, we could play Harris English, who's probably pretty safe.
Harris English.
That means we'd have to drop $100 somewhere.
This is tricky.
Like we can go from Griot down to one of those other 7K guys. Like Stanley. Although I think that Griot is just better. So that doesn't really
What about Scheffler Stanley?
Scheffler is Andercurse this week, so that's tough for me.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I would say that Neiman is probably the better play. Like for the price. Because if we take out Charlie and we get up to Neiman, then we're
Gale? Oh God.
Then we're looking at 7,700 left over. Your boy Wise is there. I don't feel comfortable with that. It is tough.
Maybe we just play with 5 guys and maybe we use Dahmen as a statement.
We could play Guido.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, this is super tricky.
It really is difficult because the problem is everybody in the mid 7s. I like guys, but I don't think like Kevin. Like you could go up to Finau and down to Na or Wise or Poulter.
Yeah, do we trust Finau here? Like it's funny because if we're just talking about like trust in this field, like Streelman might be the play. And that leaves us.
I trust Neiman, honestly.
You trust Neiman more than Streelman?
Trust? I'd be more surprised if Streelman was cut. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, that's sort of the idea behind this play, I think. Like this lineup. Although Neiman has made 18 of 19 cuts.
Even though, I mean, yeah, you click in Streelman, then you're going to have to play Ricky or Kirk.
Or Steele, who never misses cuts except for once last week. Like, is there a way that we redo this and get up higher to like Cantlay?
I tried to do that, and then I was left with 6,300, and then that was obviously not the answer.
Yeah, that's not great.
We just need one more mid-range guy.
I just don't know.
In life.
I just don't know who it is in this upper $7,000 area that I like enough. Maybe we just like Homa's. I mean, Homa is $100 too expensive for this lineup. But what if take him out. Juggle this around a little bit. Who at 9,000? Do we trust Bubba at all?
I mean, I try him making the cut at the U.S. Open is like a normal person competing.
Do we trust Brian Herman here then, I guess? Herman, who's made 18 of 20 cuts this year.
So, okay, let's plug in Harmon then.
Okay, so this is what it looks like now. Casey is gone. So it would be Hoffman, Answer, Neiman, Herman, Shez, and Griot.
Wait, what?
I got rid of Casey.
Well, where are we starting? Finau?
Answer.
I think my team has extra money. Okay, go ahead.
So
Answer,
Neiman, Herman, Hoffman, Griot, and Shez.
Oh, and you leave $200?
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you did. I had Finau in there. I like this. Super balanced.
It's very balanced. I feel like it really lacks a lot of upside.
Yeah, but that's not, I mean, this is like the, can we maximize 6-6 style?
We should just play Harris English, Russell Henley, and Siwoo Kim and call it a week.
Yeah, did you like Siwoo? I meant to ask you that.
Not a ton. No. I mean, I showed it's a Pete Dye course, right?
I mean,
how is
I don't know what goes on.
How has he played here over the years? I have no idea. I feel like if he had played well here, I would know it. I mean, his tee to green has been really good lately. But then he'll just withdraw. So he can't be in this. He came 11th here last year, actually. He's gained 3.5, 6.3, and 5.6 strokes on approach. He's never gained putting on these greens in 4 starts.
It's not the worst, but no, I think this could be the lineup, though. I like this.
All right, so the best plays lineup is Hoffman, Answer, Griot, Shez, Neiman, and Herman. That's the way that it's looking. In. Don't copy it. But I think that sort of balanced lineup is going to be a bit more unique because it doesn't have Casey. Like, it's so cheap starting that you might not see many people with it. Although, if you do want to get ultimate contrarian, just play 2 guys above $10,000.
Oh, yeah, that's the way to do it if you really want to. But I think there's ways to get contrarian within balanced. That's really going to be my plan. It's not to say I'm just forgetting the 10Ks because I will use those guys, but you can really mix and match with so many guys in the mid 7s that are good tournament plays.
All right. I feel like I am more confused now than when we started, Ben.
That's normally what my appearances on this show do. Aaron Wise is going to take it home this week, and I will be there for all the glory.
You'll be even on Aaron Wise for your lifetime when he wins this event?
It depends on how top heavy these new tournaments are, but yeah, Aaron Wise, Griot, he's the one that to get back even lifetime would take literally me winning every tournament this week.
Well, good luck to you, sir. I mean, it's not great for the viewers or me if you're winning every single event, but good luck to you. What do you got going on this week over at Osimo?
Yeah, I mean, great times. Obviously, we've got PGA, all the tools, everything, getting ready for the Open Championship. It really never ends, but it's not just that. We've got the Euros, great time. Of course, the NBA playoffs, fast and furious. MLB is every day, and we're going to start pumping out football content. It is that time of the year. So we got weekly passes. Come on in. A great time to do it.
I got my football next 2 days on the Pat Mayo Experience. If you're looking for the final picks for Travelers, that's going to be over on the mix feed audio-wise, but it will be up on the YouTube page. So remember to smash the like button, subscribe to Mayo Media Network, and fantasynational.com/Mayo. A monthly will get you, /Mayo gets you 20% off. A monthly membership takes you through the British Open. I know that people get very upset when you don't call it the Open Championship, but as I've discovered, Ben, throughout time, that SEO-wise and attracting new people, type in British Open.
No, I can confirm that. I mean, I always use my parents as a litmus test for things like that, and they certainly call it the British Open still, so I am with you there.
Yeah, so if you are in the content game, and you're in America at least, or North America, call it the British Open. I guess if you're in Europe, call it the Open Championship. That might drive Google Analytics a little bit better. Maybe I'm throwing you off the scent so you can't compete with me, and I'll switch it up at the last second. but I don't think that far ahead. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience. Experience.